Okay, and we're live now on YouTube. Welcome to this beautiful Wednesday night. We're here in the beach community here of Huntington Beach, Southern California. Carol, it's great to see you again.
Good to see you.
To see you too. So tonight I thought I'd start this off a little bit differently than I normally do when we do our information question and answer sessions here. I wanted to share a story of what happened to me when I got hit by a bus just 3 blocks shy of finishing a 16-mile bike ride. So I want you to just take this, take this cruise, if you will, down memory lane. This is June of 2017. It was actually June 17th, 2017. It was around 3 in the afternoon. I had ridden my bike from North Huntington Beach down to South Huntington Beach and back. That's 8 miles round trip, 8 miles in either direction. And I was just 3 blocks shy of getting home, and it was a beautiful sunny day. It was so awesome because I had ridden my bike to my hairdresser's, got my hair done, and then rode my bike back. And I was also in the midst of selling my home. And so, as luck would have it, the only time that I did not ride my bike with a helmet is the day that I got hit by a bus. And so I'm riding my bike, having a fantastic day. I stopped by Nordstrom's, got something, from there. There was a sale next door, some wetsuits. I even got myself a spring suit. And so the day was idyllic, bright blue skies and warm sun. It was just a phenomenal day. And my habit from when I was trained as an emergency medical technician, I was working as a paramedic, was always, you always look left, right, left before you go through any intersection. Even if the lights are green, you want to look in all four directions because sometimes people run red lights. And since we're an EMS vehicle, sometimes I was the driver, sometimes I was not the driver, but you're trained to always go left, right, left. So long story short, so I looked to the left. There's no cars coming on the left. I looked to the right, there's no cars. And I never got a chance to completely look to the left because the next thing I knew, I was flying in the air. And I felt the impact. I felt the impact simultaneously in my head and my behind. And then immediately, because I got hit in the head, it kind of forces your head down. So then I could see my feet, and I could see my feet narrowing the gap from the curb. There was a curb here, and I could see it narrowing between my bike and the curb. And I thought to myself for a split second, oh my gosh, it can't crush my feet. And then because of the point of impact, I literally kind of went up and then ended up landing on the sidewalk on the other side. So to say that it was traumatic and horrific, it's like you barely have time to think when when the impact hits you. So I just literally felt it, and I'm airborne, and I just was horrified at the thought that my feet might be crushed because I could see my feet getting close to the curb. And then I went up. Why I went up, I got to say, it must be divine intervention. Something must have pulled me up to go up instead of that. Thank goodness. And then I ended up with a laceration, which is a cut from my ankle all the way to my knee. And then I was kind of like dumbfounded because as soon as I landed, the first thing I saw was like the laceration, the cut that was from my ankle to my knee. And I saw it opening it up, and I saw that it was starting to bleed. And I was kind of like, is this really happening? It's almost kind of a dreamlike state. Now, as a clinical neurosomatic practitioner, I understand the inner workings of the brain, how the brain operates and so forth. So obviously I was in shock. I know that my whole body was in shock, not just my brain, but I had also suffered, blunt trauma force to the head via a bus, no less. And so when I first had that experience, it was just like, oh my gosh, what just happened? How did this happen? Like, what hit me? How did it hit me? Because like I said, I looked to the left, I looked to the right, everything was clear on both ends. And as I went to go look left again, the next thing I knew, I was flying. I never got to see the thing that hit me until after I landed. And then, of course, I could see the bus was like right in front of me because, of course, it pulled over. The bus driver, as it turns out, he saw me, but miscalculated, unfortunately for me. So when that all happened, I would like to say that I had a million thoughts running through my head, but I didn't. It's like in that moment, because of the injury that I suffered, it was just like I was numb. I couldn't think. I really couldn't think of anything other than what just happened. How did this happen? That was the only thoughts that I had. And then as I sat there, and then the pain is starting to come on, because it's not like you get hit and the pain is there. It slowly comes on, right? And so then there was this lady who came out of the bus. She was obviously a Eastern European lady. She came out and she said, he's the worst driver ever. He goes, he hit you, he saw you, and he hit you. And I was like, what? And then she says, quick, take a picture of the license of the bus. And I was like, what? I was like, then she's like, take the number, there's a number at the top. Take a picture of the number of the top of the bus. And I was like, I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, where's my phone? So I'm like scrambling for my phone in my backpack. I'm pulling it out. I only have 9% battery left, so I don't have a lot of juice. And I'm like, oh my gosh, only 9%. This thing is going to die on me, right? So I took a picture of the license. I took a picture of the back of the bus with the number that was on the top right. And then I don't remember what else she said at that time, but she just kept on emphasizing that I had to take a picture of the license and of the number of the bus. And then before I knew it, the chauffeur of the bus, as well as, I don't know how they got there that fast, but it was like no more than 2-3 minutes. There was a representative from Orange County Transit Authority, was like right there at the intersection of Edinger and Gothard. Like, I don't know how he was there that quick, but he was. A man in a white t-shirt, not a white t-shirt, in a white dress shirt, short sleeves, dark pants, wearing glasses, middle-aged. And then he gives me his card. He's taking some sort of report, asking me questions. I'm kind of like dumbfounded. The emergency medical system was there pretty much at the same time, because they were like maybe 300-400 yards from me, because at that intersection in that first block, the fire department's right there. So they were there like immediately. And all I could think of is like, oh my gosh, how can something this terrible happen to anyone? And of course, at that time, I wasn't thinking that I could have crushed my feet. That was just an awareness that I had as I was flying in the air, which, as you know, must have been just a second, maybe 2. I don't know. I just know that it all happened so fast. My perception was that it happened fast and it happened slow at the same time, which is kind of strange if you think about it. So then when I was in the emergency room, not the emergency room, once I was in the back of the ambulance and they, took me away, that's when I started weeping and sobbing and crying. And I was like, I can't believe this is, like, oh my gosh. It's like, ugh. And my leg looked horrible and I couldn't see the rest of me. All my focus was just on my leg, because that's really all I could see. I could not see. I had a terrible, I don't even know how long. It took months for that thing to clear up. But I had a horrible bruise on the back of my lower back as well. I still have a little bit of remnants from that. And that's been 6 years. It's kind of just goes to show you how it takes time for the body to heal and for it to repair and to restore itself. So that experience was the worst and the best thing that could have ever happened to me. And I'm sure we've all had bad things that have happened to us. Everybody has had pain. Everybody has suffered an accident, whether it's tripping on your own feet or a car accident or, whatever kind of, there are freak accidents that happen all the time. That kind of was a freak accident. But we all suffer something that is unwanted, that is unpleasant, that does not feel good, that causes us grief, misery, pain, frustration, maybe even anger. I wasn't angry, but I was definitely with grief with that particular accident. And it took kind of a long time, even though I've always been someone that whatever I healed pretty quickly, but not this time. I remember being very frustrated after a year and really not having made much progress in that first year. And the pain that I experienced from my head and my neck and my back. Like my leg, believe it or not, as bad as it looked, my leg didn't hurt that much. But that's because the pain that I had in my neck and in my lower back was excruciating. And it took everything 24 hours, literally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, minute by minute, second by second. I was like walking on eggshells all the time because I really felt the best way I could describe the pain that I felt in my neck and my back. Can't really tell you which one was worse because they were both at the same time and both at a pain level 10, which was unbearable. And then I was just walking on eggshells, hoping that it wouldn't go nuclear on me. And if I sneezed, if I coughed, it just got infinitely worse. If heaven forbid that, a door would slam because the air pressure, because, I live by the beach, so we open the windows. Sometimes I couldn't even open the windows. That's how bad my pain was. So I had to have my daughter open and close the windows because the strength that it takes just to open and close a window, I could not do it. Just that little bit of pressure was unbearable. But sometimes when you leave the windows open, there's an atmospheric change of pressure, and all of a sudden it'll suck a door closed, and then that will make you flinch. And there was that excruciating pain. So that was something that I had to manage from the time that I was awake and aware in my bed, trying to sit up in my bed, get up from my bed, walk to the bathroom, any movement, it was a constant thing of pain. And I refused pain meds. And so, of course, the doctors and the neurologist always would give me, prescriptions, but I never filled them because I'm like, no, I'm not going to get addicted on any of this stuff. I don't want my brain to be numb and dumb. And I'll have to figure out how to. And I knew I was already an experienced meditator. So I knew that I could meditate and I could be literally out of body in meditation. And so I meditated a lot because it was the only time I would have relief. Because literally when you're in a very deep theta state, your spirit's out of your body. And so you don't really feel anything. And now you're in this kind of altered state. So I would spend quite a bit of time, 2, 3, 4 times a day just doing meditation so that I would have the pain relief. Also signaling my body, because I know that we are light beings and we can redirect our own body's inner light quite literally through our focus and our attention. And our brain is a very powerful mechanism. I did not know the degree of what my injuries were in terms of my brain till a couple years later, just because I was so focused on just managing the pain. But that's not to say that you guys haven't had worse pain than I would never trade my pain for anybody else's, because as bad as my pain was, I know that there are people who suffer far worse than I did. The good news is that I was able to turn the boat around, and instead of things, because on the track that most people are when you have an injury like that, whether it's from an accident or whether something happens to you, you have some sort of trauma in your life, and now all of a sudden you develop some sort of condition or illness or diagnosis that manifests in all sorts of different symptoms in the body. For a while, through centralized mainstream medicine, oftentimes the diagnosis and the course of action is things get infinitely worse, which I always equate it to the left side, where things are going much worse, and that can go infinitely, right? But then I was able to turn the boat and literally turn the other cheek, where things got infinitely better. And I knew that a lot of the neurosomatic practices that I would do with my patients, which that first year I really couldn't deal with anyone because I was just having to repair my own body, right? It was also the same year that was like days away from my receiving my final divorce papers, which is, I don't know if that was ironic or what, but there was definitely a message that I was getting from the powers that be, from God Almighty and our infinite creator, because obviously the course and the path that I was on was changing in more ways than what I had anticipated. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because I do have some experience with pain. I know what it's like to be the mother of a child who almost died from a neurological disorder. He had a syndrome that he was hospitalized for. He almost died from Guillain-Barré syndrome. He was in pediatric intensive care unit. So I know the pain of a mother having a child in that type of condition and then being in pediatric intensive care, that's a long time to be in PICU. So I know that type of pain, and of course the pain of a mother's heart. And then we actually have this, when you're a mother, your autonomic nervous system entrains with your child. So you can feel the pain that they're feeling and the things that they're feeling. So I know that kind of pain. But then now for me to become the neurological patient, instead of the mother of a child with a neurological condition, or to be the practitioner who's dealing with patients who have neurological issues, then I became the patient with a huge neurological issue that had huge consequences. So I know the pain psychologically, physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually, because it hits us on all those different fronts. It's not ever just one thing. You can't have physical pain and not have emotional pain go along hand in hand with that. If you have physical and emotional pain, guess what? It's accompanied with spiritual pain. And if it's bad enough, it's going to impede you from doing your job, doing your profession, doing your purpose and your passion. Then there's going to be financial pain. So they're all connected. You can't separate them, unfortunately, or fortunately, it's by divine design that it's that way. So I just wanted to share that story with you guys because I was able to turn the boat around and make things go now infinitely better. And that's where I am now. And so I feel that I have a level of empathy as well as sympathy for those of you who are in a predicament where maybe right now, I just talked to somebody earlier today where they were just given this really devastating diagnosis that they had no idea. And in fact, they have one more test to do on Friday, and then I'll be talking to them again on Saturday. Or maybe you've been had the burden of whatever condition that has deteriorated over the last 5, 10, 15, 20, 30. I've had people who've dealt with things for the last 40, 50 years as a true burden, a true pain point, something that plagued their body, that caused them so much misery and grief. And finally, now they're able to, that was like a really bad, nasty nightmare. It's all in the past. And so we've all been there. Nobody lives an entire lifetime from birth until you get to the finish line, whether the finish line is 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Today, I just saw there was a lady, Eddie Ceccarelli, who lives here in California. She just celebrated today her 116th birthday. Now, I don't know her. She is the second oldest American in the United States. She lives in Willett, California. I would love, absolutely adore, to talk to her, to interview her, and hear the life story lessons that she is willing to share, because I'm sure she is filled with a plethora of wisdom seldomly seen, because not many people live 116 years. So she's the second oldest American in the United States. And I'm sure she's had her fair share of pain. I know without a shadow of a doubt. I look at my parents and I see the grief that they have experienced from losing friends, from losing children that are of their friends, from losing, a nephew or a couple of nephews. So we all suffer grief. We all suffer pain. How we express it and show it might be to some. I've had so many people who are in terrible pain. And they're like, yeah, people have no idea the level of pain that I have to, manage on a day-to-day basis. But I've been in pretty bad pain for the last 17 years. I had somebody recently say, and they uttered something to someone recently, and the person replied to them, it's like, oh, I had no idea you had any pain. You seem totally fine. And they're like, they've learned to live with the pain. And the matter of the fact is, I'm here to be Santa Claus, because you see, I don't have the tree lights on, but I'm Santa Claus. I'm here with good news. I have a surprise gift. I'm here to let you know that you can turn that train of pain from infinitely worse to infinitely better. And both Carol and I, and so many others more, we have been the benefactors. We've received the benefit from taking that chance and saying, oh my gosh, some of us have a little more experience and knowledge about what a pluripotent cell, what a master smart cell is, what a stem cell is. But not everybody has a background in biology and physics and physiology and all that kind of stuff. All that's required is desire to want to feel better and know that there is something that is not going to cost $1 million. It's not going to cost you $8,000 to $25,000 a session or a year. No, for the price of 1 or 2 cups of coffee a day, you can turn the boat around and break the chains of pain and go from infinitely worse to infinitely better. So if you or someone you know got a terrible diagnosis, or if you have, because some people that have come to me have gone from doctor to doctor to doctor to doctor. Some of them have started going out of state, across the state lines to other nearby states. Some of them even go out of the country looking for someone that can diagnose them because they have a whole myriad of mystery conditions which can't be put into any one category. And so they have a mystery condition or disease or syndrome they don't really know. And so they're like, yeah, I haven't been diagnosed because they can't figure out what's wrong, da 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 da. But bear in mind the pain that they're experiencing, that they're having to wake up with every morning, that they have trouble going to sleep. That was one of my worst things, was because I was in such bad pain. Not only was I in such bad pain, but I had such horrible tinnitus. My tinnitus was super loud. So it was loud during the day, but as things quiet down at night, it got even louder. So then it was super loud and I could not go to sleep. It would be 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, yes, 8 in the morning, and I still could not sleep. 9 in the morning, and I'm going, I've got to sleep. I know that the body repairs itself when you sleep. I could not go to sleep. I would meditate an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. I'd finish the meditation, try to get to sleep. I couldn't meditate myself into going to sleep sometimes. And so 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, sometimes it wasn't until 10 or 11 or 12 that I would finally go to sleep. And then I would only sleep for 3 hours. And I know that it's not good for the human brain to only sleep 3 hours, but I could only stay asleep for like 3 hours, maybe if I was lucky 4, and then start up and get up, start another day. And so I don't say that to make people feel sorry for me, because this is in my past. It's no longer in my present. Thank goodness. And so the truth is that it's possible to get your short-term memory back if you lost it. I didn't lose it like I misplaced it. No, it was literally crashed out of me. When that buzz hit me, along with hitting my head and my behind, I was literally smashed in the butt, smashed in the backside of my head. With that, I lost my short-term memory. And because I had no short-term memory, every time I would go to the neurologist, I couldn't remember that they told me that I lost my short-term memory. I was unaware for almost 2 years. It wasn't until the second year that I became aware. I started putting 2 and 2 together with my daughter. And so, interestingly enough, I've been very successful even prior to my having this incredible life-saving technology that we call these patches. I had been successful at getting people's memory back. I have one gal, Pam, you can look at my YouTube channel. She had a bullet that's still in her head. And for over 20 years, she had no memory because a former husband tried to out her. And so at close range, shot her. And so she was in a coma for 3 months. And I had a divine download exactly how to get her memory back using multiple modalities that I've been very well trained, some of them intuitive, some of them from a lot of training that I've had, a lot of certifications from all over the world. And in one session, I got her memory back, and she's had her memory back ever since. Immediately within 15 minutes, she was recalling things that happened when she was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, because she had 4 sisters and she had no childhood memories. Her long-term memory was gone. She only remembered from once she woke up from her coma until now. And so we were able to get back her long-term memory. So like I was able to get back my short-term memory. And it was really, the patches don't do it. It's your own body, the original programming that does that for you. So we all have the ability to do this. We are already doing it. Our bodies are designed to regenerate. Our bodies are designed to restore, to repair, to replace damaged cells with good cells. And to the degree that you have a fair amount of your original smart cells from your original programming from when you were conceived, all you have to do is apply this little solar panel, and that can make all the difference in the world. So, Carol, do you want to share about how you're doing with the patches since you started in August?
Well, it's interesting because I was I had atrial fib, and I didn't, that was going on, and congestive heart failure and all of that. And within 10 minutes of putting the patches on, the fib, my heart just did the right thing. It stopped the atrial fib. That stopped. It completely stopped. And to this day, I was at the cardiologist today, and this was after I had an echocardiogram on the 29th, because I'm just following up with them and letting them discover. I go, yeah, my patches are working and stuff like that. So today I'm fine. The AFib is not there. I am getting past the cardiology stuff that had been going on, and I'm able to make my own choices completely about what I want to do. He's not scaring me with, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that, or whatever. And so it was very beneficial to go to have that follow up today. And I pointed out the patches that I'm using, and then I'll talk to you again, Lillian. Just as an aside to everybody that might be on or listening, you have been such a big help to help me know where to put them, or to at least talk about it with your medical background as well. And so by having knowledge, we have the experience. Well, to give me the knowledge, and then I can work with that. And the doctor was that way too. So now it's all my choice from now on. If I want a defibrillator inserted, I can do that because of what I have a left bundle branch. Sound familiar?
Yeah, like Dr. John Harmon had a right bundle branch blockage, and you have a left bundle branch blockage.
Yes.
And we know what happened to Dr. John was 14 months on the patches, it disappeared.
And I told the cardiologist today, I said that, and he knows when I started on the patches, and he said it, but then he was being cautious. Yeah. And he was being observant. But they explained, I said, just tell me everything. Just tell me the truth about everything. I can figure out what to do.
Yeah.
So that's what he did. And so now it's, of course, my choice if I want a defibrillator, but I'm going to just keep working with the patches because they are so, they're successful for me. They're working. Yeah. My body's working as a result of having them on there. So I'm very, very pleased. Very pleased.
So would you say that your energy has improved or decreased since you started on the patches?
My energy has improved. My weight, I've always weighed all my life. I'm a thin person. I'm a small person. And I've always weighed no more than 110 pounds, and I can eat like a horse, but that didn't matter. I just didn't gain weight, and it was fine. I'm a very healthy, outdoors, working around person. I don't sit around. Now my body, my body has gone from, it was down to 84 pounds when my husband passed, and then is now 120 pounds. I didn't eat anything different. I'm not doing anything different, except I'm feeling really very, very good and energized, and having that much more weight on me is to my advantage, because I'm not a heavy person even with 120 pounds on me.
Yeah.
So I feel comfortable now, feeling more and more comfortable. So I like this stuff. I like this stuff.
That's awesome. That's awesome. How would you say that you've had an improvement or not with your mental clarity, your focus, and even your recalling memories from short?
Oh, absolutely. It started happening, and I started realizing, wait a minute, that's how I used to behave and get this done. And oh, I remember that. And things started coming back and forth like that. And yes, I had a day that I was kind of tired, and I figured I was just a healing. To me, I understand like a healing crisis or things like that. And it's my body was doing just fine. It just needed to have a little different stuff. Then soon as I started walking. I got walking around. I could feel the energy coming forth again, waking up from top to bottom, all the way through. I can feel the energy moving through my veins. It's just really interesting. It's a great feeling. And so, yeah, I'm liking it.
Liking it too. So did you wear, I remember you did wear a pulsometer on your finger every day, probably for the first couple months that you were on the patches. And
Yeah.
oh,
Yep. I keep it around to check, and I'm fine. So
that's where you were able to verify that your heart rate
yep,
down. Not only did
yep,
you feel it, but you also saw the
I
evidence.
could see it. Yeah. And then my blood pressure is perfect. All on the oxygen level is perfect. Everything is doing really well. Um, and I have, if I keep gaining a little more weight, I might have to go shopping and get a whole new wardrobe here. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Would you say that your activity level went up or down since starting on the patches? Are you more mobile and able to do more physical things, or are you still kind of more cloistered? Because it's been 6 months that you've been on the patches now.
Yeah, I've always been a very active person, outdoors and active. Of course, we're in the middle of winter and it's rainy and all that, and my garden doesn't need me right at the moment. So, but I'm finding that the energy is, I allowed myself to just chill out. Just you don't have to do everything like, like you normally do. Do something different. Get on the call with Lillian twice a day or whatever, because I'm learning. And now I'm seeing that I'm ready to get out. My friend came over and he wanted me to ride a pit bike, and I have learning how to ride a pit bike. And
Wow. I don't even know what a pit bike is. I'm gonna have to
oh,
Google that.
some of your bits, it's a motorcycle, it's a fast motorcycle type thing.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, yeah. I have 7.5 acres and I can run around here. And so I'm saving for a helmet, but no, I looked around and I thought, oh, heck, I can start working in the garden here pretty soon. And all those ideas and the energy was there. However, I've gotten smart. I just allow myself to sit down and chill out too,
Yeah.
because I've always been a worker, and I'm enjoying our getting on the Zoom calls and learning. I'm enjoying learning this about the patches and seeing other people and the successes they're having, and what they're going through with patches. So that has been really wonderful. And many of my friends we're having a ball, a whole neighborhood. So
Yeah, because I know that from talking to a lot of your friends and being on Zooms as well as phone calls, a lot of them, they're like, they can't believe your energy level and you're no longer locked in your home, not able to go out or anything. You're pretty much out and about. And they're like, That's how she used to be. She's like, the old Carol is back. So
Yeah.
they've all been very excited for you and so just happy and cheery. So that's really fun to see.
It's fun because I understand about stem cells. I've known about stem cells for years. However, how you explain it is perfect. So that really was a help to bring that knowledge forth again and to know that it's my own body that's doing it. It's not somebody else's stem cells within me.
Oh,
It's mine. And that is so exciting. It's like, holy moly, that's me. So I can grab my rake and go out and get ready to garden.
yeah, that sounds awesome. Well, I want to thank you, Carol, for sharing your very candidly about your life, about your experience since you started back in August of 2023 on the patches and
Yeah.
how you're doing so much better. And I love every time you go to your cardiologist or your general practitioner, you talk to your doctors and they confirm that you are progressing, again, getting infinitely better
Yeah.
instead of staying stuck or going worse, you actually have turned the other cheek and have turned a corner and you're doing, just marvelously. And you're helping save so many other lives by sharing with others what's going on with you. And now they know. I can't imagine how depressing it is to think that there's nothing out there that can possibly help you, because that's really not true. There's always something out
Yeah.
that can help you. And this is definitely, like Dr. Stacy yesterday was saying, we were on a Zoom call and she goes, this is the most powerful device on planet Earth, is this little thing that looks like a Band-Aid. It's not a Band-Aid, but it looks like one.
Yeah.
The most powerful thing. It can do such extraordinary things to the human body. And it's just acting like a mirror. It's not even doing anything. It's your own body that's doing it. And it's just a little mirror that's
Yeah.
reflecting back your own body's infrared light to activate what's already. It's like this, it's almost like a key. You can think of it instead of a patch, it's like a key. It's unlocking that power that's already there. And so that's why it's like one of the most powerful things on the planet. And I agree with Dr. Stacy. It is probably the most powerful thing on this planet. So
Very, very, very true. Very true. And even the cardiologist was listening to me when I made that comment too, because he if I wanted a defibrillator installed and whatnot, he would have done it. But I don't. But I always have that choice. But I'm just saying, well, we'll just keep working with the patches and see how things are going. And so far, so good.
yeah. And you actually had a surgery set for November, and because you no longer had AFib, November of 2023, the doctor canceled your surgery
Canceled that. Yeah.
because you don't need it. So
Yeah.
very exciting. Well, all right, my beautiful friend and Jem, I'm going to close this in saying that if you or someone you know is suffering and pain, if you have something that is a mystery condition, if you have something that you just want help with in your body that you know that it's not right. Maybe I had one lady who started on the patches. She just knew that something wasn't right in her brain, but she hadn't been diagnosed with anything. And she just knew something she just couldn't put her finger on it. She couldn't even really describe. She just didn't feel like herself anymore.
Uh-huh.
Believe it or not, extreme exposure, which you may not even be aware that you're, extreme exposure to toxins can cause neurocognitive decline. That's just a big fancy word for saying your brain doesn't work as well. So you went being very clear, very focused, able to, communicate and to express your wants and desires without any kind of issue. And now all of a sudden, some of those things are going away, or you just don't feel like yourself. And sometimes people don't know that they have brain fog until we start them on the patches and they're like, oh my gosh, everything got brighter and clear. I didn't even know I had brain fog. I had brain fog, but was unaware because it came on so slowly. And so many things can cause that. Like I said, toxins. There was a movie a few years ago that came out with Julia Roberts that was called Erin Brockovich.
Oh, yeah.
And in that film, they talked about a manufacturing plant that was dumping chemicals that was going not only into the earth, but also into the water supply. And so many of the residents of that particular town ended up coming down, getting very, very sick. So they were not aware that they were inadvertently taking in toxins into their bodies, which is why all these people, there was like every single household is experiencing one or two or more people with illness. And so you might be inadvertently, sometimes we know that we're eating junk food. Like heck, I love 31 flavors. I love ice cream. Now, do I have it every night? No, I do not. However, I used to go every Friday because growing up as a kid, that was our reward. Loved ice cream. And my father, instead of my mom picking us up from school, my dad would pick us up from school on Friday. And then in the car, he would say, okay, let me see your papers because you get to show whatever tests and your home grades and everything. And he's like, okay. He goes, well, if you promise not to tell your mother, we'll go to 31 flavors and let's go get some ice cream, but you have to promise you're going to eat all your dinner. Like, yay. So every time go to 31 flavors. And I still love 31 flavors. They know me my first name because I used to always buy ice cream cakes for my kids' birthdays because they love ice cream too. They inherited that from me. And in our house, if we ran out of ice cream, I got to run to the supermarket to buy more. Can't run out of ice cream, milk, or eggs in that order. So the bottom line is you can turn the boat around. So my friends and gems, I hope you have a great rest of your evening. I hope that you choose to celebrate with joy and with happiness, that you are alive, especially on those days that end in Y, because the alternative is to not be here and to be 6 feet under and to let go of the meat suit and just be in spirit form. And our lives are such a finite period of time. Again, I want to wish Edie Ceccarelli a very happy birthday. I don't know her personally, but I know that in spirit she's feeling love and adoration for there's so many people who today sent her well wishes for her birthday because she's 116 years old. I'm pretty sure that we have the capacity to reach 116 years of age, especially with these patches. We have no guarantees, but at least we know that with this technology, we don't have to suffer when we get to the very end.
Right.
So I say ciao for now, my friends and gems. And as always, kisses
Good night.
and
Thank you.
bye.